So the real question is, what do you do when you're at stage one, trying to go from stage one to stage two? What do you do when you're selling less than a handful of homes every year, less than a home every single month, and you want to grow and you want to scale? Well, the biggest challenge you have at that point is turning strangers into a client, because you probably have already worked your sphere, everybody from that your kids know, everyone on your street, all your friends and family, all your past acquaintances, if you will. And now you got to get into the business of actually deciding, are you going to take this real estate thing serious and go out there and proactively manage growing your business? Are you going to be reactive and just hope that somebody calls your phone with another referral? Well, if you want to be able to turn strangers into clients, then today you are in for a treat, because we're going to tell you what's working right now. We have a story to share, but before we do, I want you to meet my good buddy, Woods Davis. Woods, are you there?
I'm here, man. I'm excited to talk today.
Well, a lot of people, if you're familiar with my channel, you're familiar with Woods. We're both the co-authors of The Digital President. And, today what we decided to do was we said, what can we do to create the most value in the marketplace? This video is not for somebody who's selling, 500 homes a year. This video is for someone who's literally serious about doubling their business. They're wanting to go from 1 to 2 transactions per month to maybe 2 to 3 or 2 to 4, depending where they are. This video is going to give you one of many solutions. And what we're going to talk to you about is what we were super excited about before the pandemic, when we were really showing people why you should be considering leveraging open houses in your business, and all of the different impacts, the secondary impacts that come to your business, the benefits as a result of using this one source as a strategy for growing your business. So, and the good news is, it's the one thing we created, literally a step-by-step guide from start to finish of the perfect open house of what we would say would have been the future, which is today. So if you want the guide, make sure you go down to the description below and download a copy. And while you're down there, if you like stuff like this, you got to hit the like button. And if you like it, you might as well just go ahead and subscribe to the channel, because we do put out new content every single week. And so turning on those notifications will let you know first of when that content drops. So what type of agent, should really put an open house strategy into their arsenal? I think we need to address that today. And more importantly, really talk about a little bit of the why open house is such a great strategy for agents in today's market.
Every agent at some level should have an open house strategy. One of the things that we always talk about is like these oil wells, installing oil wells in your business, which is simply a pillar to generate clients. And once you drill an oil well, you don't turn it off. One of the big challenges I think a lot of people have is they'll try one thing and it might work a little bit, and then they move on to another thing, and then they stop doing the things that work. Well, when you install a open house system and you run this like a funnel, the way that we've laid it out, it is a system that will just produce over and over and over and over. And the cool thing is, I think if you're brand new starting out, anybody can execute this strategy, whether you don't have listings or you have listings, or you're brand new and you're really just looking to get started. You don't have to invest a lot of money. You can invest time. So this is a great strategy, especially for people that are getting started, to get some low-hanging fruit and generate some transactions fast.
Yeah, and so I think you bring up a couple good points. One of the things in my career when I did open houses is when I did them correctly, I got listings. So let's just start there. An open house is an event. This is event-based marketing. This is an event that you're able to go and make impressions on people. See, what happens is, one of the best pieces of advice I got early on in my career was, Mike, if you want to break into the luxury market, if you want to work smarter, not harder, if you want to double your average transaction price, which who doesn't, then open house gives you that, because it's a target market. You get to pick the house. By picking the house, indirectly, you're picking the types of individuals that are looking at those houses. There's a couple other benefits with open houses. You're working with people that are not looky-loos. This isn't somebody who's 100 miles, 200 miles, 1,000 miles away looking online, thinking about moving somewhere. This is a person who's gotten their car, especially in Texas. In Texas, it could be 100 degrees, in the summertime. And someone gets in their car in 100-degree weather driving around the neighborhood. First of all, they probably know the proximity to schools. They know what the house looks like. They know the curb. They know everything they need to know. And now they've decided that they're going to get out of the car and look at the house. So here's the thing. A lot of the people, when done correctly, and this is what we're going to talk about, I think there's a bunch of mistakes, bunch of myths. But here's the thing. People who do open houses and do them correctly, it becomes a system for consistently being able to generate deals on demand. And here's how you know if you're doing it correctly. Here's the one metric. How many people came? And how many people come to your open house is indicative. I mean, it has a cause and effect relationship on, well, what did you do to get them to come? And so that really gets down into the nitty gritty, which is, well, what are all the ways that you can get someone to come to an open house? And this is where we really see the magic of the force multiplier effect, because you have so many ways. You have offline, you have signs that you can put out. How many signs? Well, if you knew for every one sign you put out, you got one guest, the question is how many people do you want to come, right? Those are the little things that in this open house funnel, in this guide that we're going to share with you. And more importantly, the pre-marketing, this is really there's a pre-marketing strategy that when you combined it with the traditional open house as a method, a method of an open house, I think by default, most people did open houses to pacify their seller. Why? Because they got a listing. Their seller wants to know if they're going to do an open house. Why? Because they've been to open houses. Surely they would think other people want to come to open houses. And so they're asking their agent, hey, will you do an open house for me? Please do an open house. And the agent's like, oh my God, I'm going to have to do an open house this weekend. And that's the mindset. I got to go sit over here for a couple hours. It's almost, no, you have to change the paradigm. An open house is not for the seller. An open house is designed for you as an agent to be able to go out there in the marketplace and find people that are out there serious about buying. And so one of the biggest things in real estate is location, location, location. And so I want you to write this down. The location, picking your open house, the location, winning before you start, the location is where most agents make the biggest mistake.
Well, if you don't have a good location, you're not going to be able to drive as much traffic. And when you have this mindset of using this opportunity to hold an event to attract the types of clients that you actually want to do business with, a buddy of ours and one of our agents, he started focusing on luxury neighborhoods and holding open houses in luxury neighborhoods, holding open houses on waterfront, lakefront properties where he wanted to really start to build his business and build his clientele. And that was a really effective strategy for him, especially because he could market directly to those type of people who were interested in that type of property. And it was a great way to get started with, without having a big budget to run a lot of advertising and things like that.
Yeah. So here's what I see. Here's the bottom line. Bottom line is, in any marketing opportunity, you have a couple elements. I don't care where it is. You can own a dry cleaners. You can own a restaurant. If you're in a good location, it's going to be easier to put people in front of your marketing message. That's the principle here, is that when I seen the biggest things that I've seen work is increase your signage. Increasing your signage is way more effective, especially if you're coming at the property in a way where, it's not so buried in the back of the neighborhood that they could literally get lost, right? Where it took you, you want to be next towards, a major four-way intersection. That's where you should start working your way back from. Hey, there's a traffic light. Traffic lights are there for a reason. Why? Because that's where there's a lot of traffic. They do traffic counts. They decide where they put lights at. They put in a traffic light, then you work backwards from there. And you want to be able to, when you turn into the neighborhood, have as few many turns as possible. In a perfect world, right when you about to turn into the neighborhood, you could see the open house. And so it's not only signage, it's about getting them out early. So many agents, and this is you, and maybe you've learned a little bit about open houses and maybe you've done parts of it right. But I'm here to tell you, I've seen agents put out 20, 30, 50 signs, and without fail, 100%, just the signs alone changed their entire paradigm. They were like, oh my goodness, now I have something. This was the thing that when I needed to sell a house, I loaded the truck up with signs. I put them out everywhere. And the great thing about it is I got to pick the house, which that indirectly affected the buyers and the sellers that I was going to receive. Again, depending on what you do, there's a couple other things you could do early from online marketing. But with that being said, the online marketing, you have online, you have offline. Offline, signs. You can go around the street that the house is on and talk to the neighbors. That's a huge opportunity to invite them. Again, this is event-based marketing. This event's happening. Now you have an excuse to impress upon, to touch other people in the neighborhood and have those interactions. And it's those interactions over time where they start to see you and start to know your name. Remember, if I went to the neighborhood that you want to sell homes in, let's say there's a neighborhood that you want to own. If I went there and did a survey and said, hey, I'm doing a local survey, name a local real estate professional, well, I can guarantee you they probably won't name your name now unless you've been doing a lot of the stuff that we're talking about marketing wise, which is impressing upon them. But if you're not and you're starting from scratch, it's doing things like this through a comprehensive strategy of other things that you could be doing. And this is one of many that allow you to eventually take over the neighborhood. So what are some of the things that you've been recommending to people online?
Obviously, one of the best things that you can do is you can actually run Facebook ads. So you can do paid advertising. It's a good opportunity to generate leads just by simply marketing the property that you're going to be holding open. And it's also a really good way to follow up and initiate a conversation to be able to, verify that they're going to be attending and get some more information about what they're looking for, make other recommendations, and just enter the conversation. You can schedule Facebook events. So you can actually schedule an event on Facebook. Anytime we're ever doing an event, whether it's even like for us, if we're doing like a seminar or anything like that, we always schedule the event on Facebook. And it allows people to basically say that they're going to come, RSVP, right inside of the Facebook platform. And there's also some special promotion things that you can run when you create a Facebook event. Also, obviously, advertising on Instagram. And I'll give you one little pro tip. If you hashtag some of the local businesses, for example, had a agent, she hashtagged a particular church. This house was close to this church, and it was a very popular church in the area. And long story short, she actually attracted a client. It was actually a $1.6 million client who had found her post on Instagram and attended the open house. They developed rapport around their faith, and she was able to help them buy a home. The key is to understand is like this, an open house, it's like a lead magnet if you use it as a lead magnet. But if you don't advertise it, you just kind of, don't do anything to really take advantage of the opportunity, then you're not going to really get very good results.
Yeah. So, I mean, the main thing for you is that open houses are back. During the pandemic, I've had a lot of people that were doing virtual open houses. I think that you can still do virtual open houses. Again, these are events where you're trying to, again, use selection, use proximity. Meaning if somebody, like for instance, in the neighborhood that I live in, I think that my old neighborhood, there's people who know the neighborhood, and if they want to live in that neighborhood and there's an open house, they're going to want to go check out the house, right? And there's not a lot of homes for sale in that neighborhood. And so, that's something that you can leverage on the front end. Now, on the back end, there's a lot of people when you do the marketing that Woods is describing that are not going to show you. So you got the signs, you got the people who come by, but you had the people who couldn't make it, right? And so there's a lot of things that you can do pre, and there's a lot of things that you can do post. Now, when we're at the open house, one of the main things that we're going to do is we're going to survey these individuals. We can leverage things like iPads in order to get that person to give us the information, because every open house has usually, a few local area movers that are going to come in that have a home to sell, which is a great survey question. Hey, thanks for coming in. Do you mind completing this real quick survey? Now, I've seen different ways on open houses, and I've done this myself. I used to say, hey, sign in on the register, and we're going to do a drawing. Maybe I've seen people give candles away and Starbucks gift cards, but whatever it is, sometimes they're sponsored by the lender. When you do an open house like we're describing, it is a good practice to have a lender come just because it's free help. Because I literally have had people say more times than not, hey, I got to call you back. I'm at the open house and there's people everywhere. I'll call you back after this open house is done, Mike. I'll call you back. And that's how you know when it's literally like a madhouse. And so having someone like a lender or having somebody else there to help you kind of conduct that. But as they're coming in, set your table up, set your spot up, in a very, we're in a place where they can't just walk right in, and come up with a good reason, that whole vacant home script, right? So one of the things about vacant homes is that they don't need a lot of time in order to be shown. And so if you, let's say it's I'm just using a round number here, but let's say it's a $400,000 house, $200,000 house, doesn't matter. Go around and get homes that are, anywhere between 10 or 15% above and below that. Find anything vacant, throw it up into Google and create a little map for them. It'd take you 10 minutes to do, print 10 copies, offer it to them. Remember, in any marketing, you want to be able to make offers. If you're not making enough money, you're not making enough offers. You have to make a compelling offer that makes them say, oh yeah, I'd love to have that. So what you do is you say, hey, listen, it depends. I've always been able to spin it. If it's the wintertime, I'm like, hey, listen, this is somebody's house. These are a bunch of vacant homes in the neighborhood. A lot of these homes, the owner is paying for 2 mortgages during the holiday season. We find a lot of the times either they're going to be motivated people. Certainly don't know that for sure, but I got a list of them if you would like to drive by them. And the cool thing is I'm out of here in 45 minutes. If you want to drive by and get in any of them today, I can certainly show you, right? That person, I've had a person who's taken that script, implemented it, and literally said, I went from doing open houses for 2 years, never sold a home the day of an open house. And this is a lady, she said, I wrote an offer the first day with that exact script. I literally said that. They drove by one and they ended up writing an offer. So just some stuff to think about. Well,
and also too, when you're advertising up front, if you use that lead magnet of bank-owned foreclosures, vacant homes as an offer, even on your signs, that's going to attract more people there. And it's going to make sense when you're initiating that conversation to them, of making that secondary offer to them, to give them the list and get them into the conversation and going and look at. And I think the cool thing about this is like bottom of funnel. Sometimes when we talk about like funnels and we talk about advertising or marketing to generate clients, usually like there's this process, this journey that people have to go through from a complete stranger of just getting to know you and being aware of the problem of them trying to find a house or whatever, and you introducing a potential solution. Then there's like the middle of funnel where you're educating them. And then there's the bottom of funnel where you're actually converting them. And the cool thing about like this open house strategy is just with that little script that Michael used, it's like you take somebody from a complete stranger all the way down to the bottom of the funnel to where they're actually out looking at homes and meeting with you to look at homes really fast. That's why I think this is just such a great strategy. And I think that a lot of people should be jumping all over this, especially right now. I think also too, people are anxious to get out to open houses. People are anxious to get more face-to-face. The agents that implement this strategy, they always have success. I've had more people contact me, text message me, DM me about running the open house funnel and following all the steps, and saying that they were able to generate a client faster than almost any other thing.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up with this. If you subscribe to our channel, if you've read Digital President, then you know at the end of the day, we're marketers. And as marketers, we've solved a lot of challenges. One thing that we're working on right now is YouTube. So you're probably watching this on YouTube. And if you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you please subscribe to this channel. Hey, listen, you've already watched enough videos. You know you like them. Go ahead and subscribe. You're going to get more and more. We're just going to feed you and keep adding value to you. So subscribe and turn on notifications. Now, here's the thing. Here's all I want you to know. If you understand marketing, then you know that marketing, there's a certain percentage of people that want to do business today. This is why we wrote the book, Digital President. There's a huge portion of people that want to do business down the road. So think of your database growing with people that you've met. And you have this database. And we actually did a entire YouTube video on database marketing. If you haven't watched it, I'll include the link in the description. And there's probably one up here somewhere in one of these corners, a little link, but you can go check it out. But here's what happens. You have to grow your database. And so by marketing the open house, by performing the open house, what you're doing is right now there's a certain amount of people, let's say, that have met you, that know who you are, that know your name, that would see you in the grocery store and say, hey, there's Michael Reese, and this was what he does. He's a real estate professional. Now, they might not know your entire value proposition. If you're an overachiever and you've done a great job, then good for you. But a lot of people haven't got there. So let's just stick with the basic. Maybe there's in a proximity of your dream neighborhood. In that neighborhood, maybe right now there's only, I don't know, maybe there's only 5 people who know your name. Your goal is to collect the email address from everybody in that neighborhood and for them to know why you're different and for them to believe that you're actually different. That's your job. And one way you can do that is going out and doing this open house, demonstrating your expertise, serving the community. And then as you build that database, is producing market updates, other videos of other open houses, other videos of when you sold homes, other content. Your goal should be to produce that content. Now, if you produce that content and you're like us and you have seen the power of YouTube, and if you haven't, and you'd like to talk about a YouTube strategy, I think there's a link in the description that would allow you to jump on a call with the guy who's been just doing amazing work with YouTube strategy, amazing work. But a YouTube strategy is one of the best parts of it is every video you produce and you put on YouTube, you can literally email to your database of unconverted leads. And here's the thing, as people consume content, as consumption goes up, trust goes up. And your goal is to build a community of people that are predisposed to do business with you, that know, like, and trust you, that look at you as a subject matter expert. And an open house is the perfect demonstration. It's the perfect opportunity to impress upon your community so that you can go from who you are now, which is maybe chasing business, to attracting business because of all the value you put out in the community. So open house is one of many, many, many strategies. So my question is, have you ever sold a home from an open house? If you have, for all of the other new agents that might see this, if you have a positive story that, man, I've been doing, here's the thing. The most people you've ever had come to an open house, put the number in the comment. Has it been 10? Has it been 20? I want to hear how many people have you had come to your best open house ever?
And while you guys are down there hitting the comments, be sure to check out the description and check out our complete guide to the open house funnel. It's the ultimate open house funnel. It literally will walk you through step by step from all of the prep work that you need to do in terms of how to find the best house to do your open house, even if you don't have any listings, how to set up and get prepared for the open house, where to order your signs from, what to pay for everything, all of the different types of ads,
the scripts, the best apps, all of that stuff, man. That guide is the complete guide. You got to get it.
So check it out. You'll see a link in the description. Make sure that you hit that link, download that, and go crush an open house. It's time.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, Woods, for jumping on and always adding value back to the community. And man, great episode. Hopefully this helps you with your business. If you want to grow your business, if you want to go from stage 1 to stage 2 or stage 2 to stage 3, or you don't even know what the stages are. If you don't know what the stages are, go watch the video, The 7 Stages of Real Estate. Find out where you're at. It's your responsibility to know what's holding you back, and then hit subscribe and let us help you move to the next stage. That's what we do here. And I can promise you one thing. We're going to either see you at the top
or from the top
or at the beach, baby.